about Amazon. We should know that this is about a big company. It's about a corporation, which is, as we know, is known by the fact of violation of laws by their own employee, by their contracts with in other companies. In some cases. So when we are talking about local judges, when we are talking when we are talking about local regulation and so on, we know that would be about, it would lead, and it leads right now to the violation of law to the companies which is working with the Amazon. So the whole speech would be about violation of laws, about monopolization, and about redistribution of capital between the companies. So when we are talking about violation of laws to the companies, we know that first of all, first mechanism, all this all these judge processes, all these courts stay non-public, which leads to two things, which leads to one, to different results of courts to different companies. If one company went to the Amazon in some cases, second company wouldn't know about this. They wouldn't know about this process, and they can't use the results of the first company in attempt to win the court. The second thing, many law violations, many even crimes became unpublic, and we can do something with them. We can do anything with them as a publicity, as a government. So we know that Amazon have a possibility because of the things I said before, and I will talk about it, more about it later. And they have a stimulus. They have need to do this. Why they have? Because at first they're just a business. They want to have more capital. They want to have more successful contracts. They are ready, and we know by the company's behavior, they are ready to violate law and violate something. So when we know that somebody have a possibility and a stimulus, we know we expect they will use it, and we expect that some company will do something with it. So Amazon even Amazon even didn't need to push to the judge, because every arbitrage would it would be at the interest of the company because of two reasons. First, company which hire you as a judge to the arbitrage is sponsoring you. They're giving you salary. They can change you. They can leave you without your salary, without your bonuses, and so on. You are bounded with them. Second thing, they are creating informational context around you, where Amazon is always right, doing right things, and so on. Even if Amazon don't try to push to you and don't try to lead to their own interest, to achieve their own interest, arbitrage still about making decisions to the Amazon's to the Amazon's profit because of the cultural hegemony or the soft power. I'll take CO. I see the clarification.
Who is going to create that ban in the first place? And second of all, who is going to take this arbitrary, and what cause are we talking about as an alternative towards this internal one?
When we are talking, okay, the simplest one. When we are talking about authorities, we are talking about the courts. We are talking about this a common process of how we are doing it with the another companies which don't have courts. When we are talking, you won't be edible good, but when we are talking about who are making the courts, it's for sure it's about Amazon. They're hiring people to the arbitration, to the court as a judge. I think that this is this is an employee of the company. So yeah, I don't think this is about external people. So because of cultural hegemony, return to the argument, because of cultural hegemony or the soft power, because Amazon is doing all the best in the eyes of these people. So even if, and here we should clarify that Amazon don't need to win all the processes, all the codes. They can easily lose, for example, 40% of the codes, winning 60. But we need to know that this delta of 10% is about the most profitable codes, is about most profitable process, because more how more is profitable to the Amazon, then it's more chance to win the court for the Amazon at all, because of soft or hard pushing power to the judge, or redistribution of the process to the judge, and so on. It leads to it leads to win the court, and more, which is more important, which is important too, that a big slice of the big amount of this court, big amount of process that doesn't lead to court at all, because small companies or even medium companies don't take risks to challenge the courts, don't change the risk to talk about this and trying to win to the Amazon, which leads to several impacts, which leads to broken the concurrence between the Amazon and small medium companies, because of Amazon taking their chances, taking their profits in this court. So it leads to the redistribution capital to the Amazon at all, because Amazon winning the most profitable, most valuable courts, taking more, broken the concurrence, broken the employee rights, blocking and rushing the health of the financial markets, even in whole areas of the businesses, which is really crucial. I'm glad to propose.
I thank the Prime Minister for that speech and call upon the Leader of Opposition to start a case for the side opposition. Hear, hear.
Thank you, 10 seconds. I'm sorry. 3, 2, 1. Honorable panel, 4 things in my speech. First of all, I will provide clear characterization of how this process is happening. That was a burden of opening government. Secondly, I will provide incentives of Amazon in this kind of appeal process. Thirdly, I will provide on the principle level why it is illegitimate to ban this kind of appeal of courts in this process. And as the last reason, I will provide why it is kind of more effective way of appealing to the court. But some points of refutation on opening governments, actually. The first thing, they think that about violation of rules, violation of law and such thing. Actually, it is not completely true. In this debate, we do not talk about kind of workers that work for Amazon, that kind of packages such things. We talk about sellers, third-party sellers. It's not companies. Third-party seller is me, is you, who can kind of appeal to Amazon to be a seller, and you can sell your product on this kind of marketplace, and you are fine with it. Actually, it is almost impossible to violate your rights, because all you need to do is like distribute your kind of products in this marketplace and distribute to other people, and that's all. Amazon cannot provide you a schedule of work, schedule of kind of things, how to, in which price you need to do. All things are on your own, and there is no violation of kind of law rights, human rights. It is only about that workers who kind of do about packages and so on. The first thing. Secondly, they think about judges sponsored by these companies, and that's why there will be unobjective kind of judgments. Actually, we as an opening opposition truly believe it is not true. Why it is so? It is not things that all of these judges and companies are like same team, same family, one team. Actually, it is not true, because there's a lot of kind of other departments. We have Amazon Go, we have Amazon kind of market, Amazon selling. A lot of departments exist. It means that these courts serve as a kind of another department also. It means that me as a judge is not incentivized to help to other departments to win the case. My job as a judge is to help my company to kind of develop to make kind of better company, to be a more fair company. That's why I was hired to. I was not hired to kind of support my kind of other departments, but to make my company better. That's why I'm here as a judge. Actually, it's not true. First reason, what is debate about? Debate is about on which side of the house there will be kind of more objective decision, and there will be more effective decisions actually for seller and for Amazon also, but especially for seller. First reason, incentives of Amazon. Incentives of Amazon based on this kind of two factors. First of all, it is the reputation of company. For instance, if me as a company I unfairly judge other my sellers, it means that I'm kind of unfair, I'm corrupted organization and so on. More likely that the people who was kind of biasly unjudged by me will talk about this to media, and there will be media discourse, and my reputation will fall. Secondly, what is it important for me? It is my workers. These third-party sellers that work in my company are my workers that serve to me. It means that it is these people is appreciable to me. I appreciate this person because this person, these people provides me kind of profit to my company. That's why I'm highly incentivized to keep this person. I'm not incentivized to fire all of them, to be kind of biased towards them, and to kind of make decisions only kind of in the kind of help of me, in this kind of in the side of me. I'm incentivized to be more objective and to keep the workers I need to. Turning to this kind of secondary characterization of this kind of game, how does this process happen? For instance, when you need to appeal kind of to such companies, to such process, when your account kind of was blocked because for why it is so? Because for probably problems with buyers, you didn't do your job and kind of someone complained to you. Secondly, not accomplishment, complete of your contract, because when you kind of sign to the contract, you have obligations that you need to do. In the case you have done nothing of that, you will have problems. Sadly, complaints of kind of other buyers that bought your product and it was a kind of terrible service. Only in this case, Amazon can kind of ban you and they can suspend your kind of bank account and so. After what happened, if you directly appeal to the court as a seller, you would be better, kind of Amazon court as a seller, you would be better off. First of all, more likely that this Amazon will kind of fire you if you appeal to the kind of other courts. Why it is so? First of all, it is the contract. Secondly, it means that for Amazon, appealing to this kind of international court and other courts means loss of reputation, loss of money for them, because Amazon also needs hire lawyers in order to solve this problem. We see that it is crucially important for Amazon, and you as a seller will never work on this company. Second reason, more likely that you as a seller can go back to this company. Even if your block was suspended, you can appeal to the court and make compromise. As I mentioned before, there's incentives of company to keep their sellers, and the more likely that after this kind of appealing to court, you can go back to your company, and we think it's completely fine. Third reason, we think that there is more effective and more kind of better compromise will happen in this game. Why it is so? First reason, it is easier. Obviously, for me as a seller, it is much more easier to appeal to internal court that can be served me way more faster, because Amazon is a huge corporation and we have a bunch of judges that can help me in comparison with kind of international court and the country court. It is way more easier now in the Amazon because of plenty of judges, and it is a process of automized, because in the governmental level, prayer process is not automized and we have problems with it. And I see that the process is much more easier. They already know my problem. All I need to do it's provide documents and request for solving of this problem. Secondly, it is much more cheaper. Why it is so? First of all, because you don't need as a seller to spend money on lawyers. Secondly, no appeals. Second, appeal to the courts in the case of losing. Thirdly, kind of you don't waste money in terms of time, because when you don't work, when you do all these court things, you lose a terrible amount of money. On comparative on Amazon, this process is much more faster, that's much more easier and much more effective actually. Turning to our principal points, what we have, we think that it is truly legitimate to kind of illegitimate to ban such things. So why it is so? First of all, it is a property of company, property of people. They have kind of whole legitimacy to solve their problems by themselves. First reason, it is our own property of the company, and it's as I mentioned before, property, and they have a right to solve their problems by themselves. In status quo, we already provide to kind of solve the kind of internal problems of company to this kind of CEOs of company. They can hire people, they can decrease your salary, they can fire you. It is completely fine because it is you cannot intervene as a government to this kind of internal process for government. We do not talk about illegal things like violation of your rules, violation of your money. We do not talk about such things. We talk about things when you kind of broken your contract. Secondly, as an analogy, we have that Amazon's GDP is quite high, and it is almost like a country, and the amount of workers of almost like a country. And in each country, we have a legitimacy to provide their own court in order to they can solve their decisions internally. For the following reasons, we're so proud to oppose. Thank you.
I thank the previous speaker for that speech and call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to continue the case of opening government. Here, here.
So, to win this debate, we need to show that banning the internal arbitration process will improve the state of the market. In this debate, we focus on the companies because the market is the market of general goods and shipping and stuff is efficient either way, either due to competition, if we remove the process, or due to Amazon's willingness to ruthlessly optimize everything over the rights of any people or companies that they can sacrifice. So probably this debate is about the well-being of companies, the overall efficiency of the process, and the state of the market. And before I proceed, I have to refute a couple of things because the OO woefully mischaracterized the situation. First of all, they state in their principal case that this is a company's right to solve their internal problems. The problem is that within this debate, Amazon tries to pretend that their disputes with third parties are their internal problems, and this is the problem. What we're showing in our case is that effectively third parties, which are supposed to compete with Amazon, which are supposed to keep their potentially inefficient or unethical practices in check, effectively become their subsidiaries, effectively become the subordinates of Amazon. But the thing is, they aren't, neither legally nor morally. And so their principal case that those are internal problems of Amazon, obviously not true. Secondly, they try to outmake something that is actually illegal and actually breaks somebody's rights. The problem is we don't know if something's illegal. We don't know if a practice breaks somebody's rights. We don't know if Amazon engages in illegal dumping, in the usage of their monopoly privileges, in intellectual theft, unless we prove that in court, and we cannot do that in the status quo. That is the whole point. For all we know, and that's probably true because the system doesn't function, Amazon breaks the laws and rights of third parties basically daily, and we don't know that because there is no check on their activities, because companies either lose arbitration or too scared to begin it in the first place. So my teammate explained to you that it's not possible to have an independent arbitration system within the company because of the incentives you have in hiring, because any kind of evaluation or appeal or arbitration that you have is still going to happen within the company limits, because you implicitly, even if you are not directly forced to consider the interests of your employer, you will still keep them you will still keep them in consideration much more than a judge would, and ultimately, even in the best case scenario, it's still the entire process still happens under the Amazon's dominant corporate ideology, where they're the main thing in the market, where they're the good guy, where they're like the provider and the company whose consideration needs to be taken more seriously. And even if a judge sees that this company may be somewhat in the right, they would feel significantly unwilling to unburden the company that does so much good for them. It's important to understand that this system is inherently a black box. We don't know, neither side of this debate knows their actual incentives. The op team can try to say, oh, the incentives are good, but they have no ground to claim that because we have no idea what's going on. What we do know comparatively is that no country in the world has ever managed to create an independent court system without its independent construction. No country in its own right mind ever tried to privatize the court system. Why? Because whoever owns the court system controls the court system. You can't have it. Even if you honestly try to create an arbitration system that will be independent, it's still a system that works for your interest. It's the same as with reporting harassment complaints to HR. HR ultimately does not care about you personally. It cares about the good of the company. Even though this situation is actually worse, because at least when you complain about harassment to HR, you are part of the company. You bring like product to the company. But when you, as a third party, complain to the arbitration process, you're not even part of the company. You're effectively a competitor. Which means that the arbitration courts have even less incentive to consider that. And so once again, what we see is that third parties can't effectively consent to the situation because Amazon is effectively like a near monopoly shipper in the United States, which is a huge market and a huge part of the Western world, which means that if you want to have access to their shipping networks, you will have to consent to that, which means that this is a textbook use of their monopoly powers as a shipping company, which means that this is something that they will inherently use to take over the competition, to be less effective, to claim more income on their part, to concentrate more and more capital within fewer hands. And when you concentrate more and more capital within fewer hands, this has negative repercussions towards the economy because less businesses that are not Amazon survive. Those businesses that survive pay their employees less. More people that would have worked in those companies have to be working in Amazon, who once again, because of their corporate power and near monopoly status, has a quite shitty record of workers' rights, let's just say it like this, which means that more and more money, rather than circulating through the economy, are kept and are still gathering within hands of fewer and fewer people, Jeff Bezos personally, which means that the market is effectively made worse. It's not a company, it's not a situation where a company legitimately solves its own internal problems. It's a situation where a company with a monopoly access to, with a neo-monopoly access to shipping, uses its power to force third parties to surrender their own rights effectively. And the same way that we cannot allow people to be sold into slavery, even though some very poor people might consent, they might sign their rights away via a legitimate contract that would then rededicate all their labor problems into the arbitration system held by their owner. We do not allow that because this is not how consent works, and we understand that this will be worse for both the third parties and, you know, the labor market in general, because, well, when people don't get paid, it's worse both for them and the economy. And effectively, since we don't like slavery, we believe that they would also abolish this court arbitration system. And so preemptively, closing tables might say that Amazon still has an advantage in courts because they have more money and more lawyers, and that's true. But since we're talking about companies and businesses rather than individual claimants, we believe that those companies, if they have an actual legal case, which matters less and less in the system, as my teammate has shown, if they have an actual legal case, and if they have the money because they are a business company, they will be able to hold their own good enough that they will be better off, and the market will be better off, and the distribution of capital will be better off. And so therefore we believe that this system should be abolished. Very proud to propose.